Welcome everyone to our webinar. I'm Kat Pullen, part of the marketing team here at Cohesive. Thank you for joining us for our Maximo Back to Basics webinar series, where we showcase core legacy Maximo functionality and features your organization may not be taking advantage of inside Manage, part of the new Maximo application suite. This webinar is being recorded, and we will send a link to this and a copy of the slide deck within 24 hours of the broadcast. We will be meeting the phone lines throughout the presentation. If you have any questions, and we do encourage questions, enter them in the question box and we will address them after the session. Today's presentation is Navigating Maximo Mobile, Step into the Shoes of a Technician. And I am joined by Bridget and Anissa. Thank you for joining us. Anissa, I will hand the meeting over to you.
Hi, everyone. Good morning, and thank you for joining today's session. As Kat mentioned, we will be discussing navigating Maximo Mobile and looking at some of the functionalities specifically geared towards a technician. My name is Anissa Ramutasing, and joining me as well on today's webinar is my colleague Bridget O'Reilly. We are both technical consultants working with Maximo Application Suite, including all things related to Maximo Mobile, which will be the topic of discussion today. And we're also joined by Kat, who's going to be our moderator for the question and answer session. On the screen is the agenda for today's session. So we will start by laying the groundwork for any newcomers with an introduction to Maximo Mobile, where we will be covering the basics, ensuring that you have a good foundation on the essentials of Maximo Mobile. And then we will move into an overview on Maximo Mobile, and we will chat some more on the mobile applications. We will also be discussing the practical use cases, demonstrating how Maximo Mobile can be applied in various technician scenarios. After establishing the basics, we will move into the demo, highlighting functionalities tailored for the technicians. And we'll also have the opportunity, as mentioned before, to have some additional discussions in the Q&A session. So we have a lot to go through today, so let's jump right in. And let's start things off and set the context for today's session. So what is Maximo Mobile? The easiest way to answer this is that the highest level Maximo Mobile is a single application. And as we are going to be focused on technicians, it's important to remember that Maximo Mobile and the technician role essentially keeps everything operating smoothly for organizations. Every technician can be an organization's best technician with the right tools and the use of technology. So moving along, let's dive a bit deeper. We're seeing on our screen here some high-level points and a couple of screenshots of the mobile device. So continuing the conversation on what is Maximo Mobile. Simply put, Maximo Mobile allows users to access features and functions directly from their mobile devices, and it essentially extends the reach of MAS, the Maximo Application Suite. It empowers users to handle critical tasks related to roles within inventory and maintenance. And we will talk some more about this in the next section. As we're seeing on the right of the slide, Maximo Mobile provides user-friendly interfaces, making it easy for technicians to focus on their work without unnecessary complexities. Also on those screenshots, it's important to pause and pay attention to the big blue button. This is a unique feature that guides technicians through processes by highlighting the next best step based on when certain conditions are met. Overall, this ensures smooth navigation when using the Maximo Mobile application. It's also important to mention that with each new Maximo Mobile version release, there are new enhancements enabling users to work smarter, faster, as well as more seamlessly within the Maximo ecosystem. Okay, so now that we have touched on what is Maximo Mobile, let's talk about how to get started. First, you will need to download the Maximo Mobile application from either the Apple App Store or Google Play, depending on whether you're an iOS or Android user. And it's also important to pay attention to your Maximo or MAS environment. If you're on a legacy 7.6 environment, as seen on the screen, you should be downloading the black icon labeled IBM Maximo Mobile for EAM. And if you are in a MAS environment, look for the white icon called IBM Maximo Mobile. I would also like to mention at this point that Windows users can install Maximo Mobile as well, but it's recommended to go to the IBM portal for the latest info. There are various ways to access Maximo Mobile, as we're seeing, but it's important to mention that no matter what device you are using, the mobile interfaces are designed to adapt seamlessly to different screens and orientations, ensuring a smooth user experience. Okay, so now that we have covered the high-level context and contents around Maximo Mobile, let's hand over to Bridget, who will walk us through an overview on the Maximo Mobile applications.
Thank you, Anissa. So in this section, we're going to discuss what's available in mobile, as well as some reasons why organizations could benefit from using it in their work. So first, the navigator screen. The navigator screen is the heart of the Maximo Mobile application. It serves as a central hub for accessing all of the available features given a specific user's entitlement and security settings. Two of the major functionalities of mobile are inventory management and maintenance. Inventory is used to view and manage items coming in and out of a storeroom or an organization. The inventory receiving application, users can receive and stock items, look up shipments, scan packages, void receipts, and create rotating assets from items, among other things. The inventory counting application allows users to perform counts, either ad hoc or by utilizing existing count books, and to reconcile their inventory balances. And lastly, in the issues and transfers application, users can view existing inventory usage records, or they can issue items that have been reserved for approved work orders. Mobile also provides a suite of maintenance-related applications for technicians. First and foremost is the ability to view and record labor for assigned work orders with the technician or My Schedule application. In inspections, they can conduct predefined inspections or view the results of previous ones. This is a far more efficient option than needing to record inspection results while on site and then input them back into Maximo once at a workstation. Next up, the service request application allows users to view and open service requests, as we will demonstrate later in the demo portion of the presentation. Approvals is a great example of an application that requires specific access to be viewed. It is for specifically supervisors to review and approve work orders. Next up, the Asset Manager application is where users can see detailed information about their available assets or create new ones. And finally, although it isn't included in the diagram here, the Materials and Tools application is where users can view items available for their labor and check them out if needed. In addition to these groups, the Navigator also includes settings where users can specify their preferences and help and support for learning more about the app. If the organization has deployed Maximo Spatial, which is an add-on, then the Maps application may also be available. It allows users to view their work locations and plan routes, which is very helpful for technicians. There are also a number of benefits to using Maximo Mobile. Firstly, it helps to boost technician productivity, not only by allowing them to work more effectively from anywhere, but also by supporting them with predictive maintenance, which has been shown to reduce equipment breakdowns and to increase overall productivity. Mobile also helps to make the workplace safer. It can fill in the gaps by utilizing data from sources like wearables and sensors, ensuring that both technicians and the environment are protected. In addition to monitoring, Mobile can also provide on-site job assistance, helping to prepare workers to go into the field and reducing the knowledge gaps caused by the loss of experienced technicians. Mobile can also help to minimize the impact of human error. With the help of visual inspection, cameras and other monitoring devices can help to spot problems which might otherwise be undetectable to the human eye, leading to more accurate results and helping to avoid downtime. All of these helpful features combined make Maximo Mobile an invaluable tool for finding solutions to problems anywhere and at any time. Now I will turn it back over to Anissa to discuss some use cases.
Thank you, Bridget. Okay, so let's chat some more on some technician use cases related to work execution, inspections, and inventory management. So consider these scenarios related to work execution. Technicians can access work orders anytime and any place. They can receive, update, and complete work orders in real time, ensuring accurate and timely task completion. Technicians can communicate with team members and supervisors, for instance, by sharing updates via work log entries. With schedule maintenance tasks, these can be accessed via Maximo Mobile and can include instructions, checklists, and safety guidelines for maintenance activities. And then on the flip side, for unexpected breakdowns, technicians can quickly create work orders for unexpected issues. From the mobile devices as well, technicians can start a timer at the beginning of a task and stop it upon completion, ensuring accurate tracking of time spent on work orders for better labor cost calculations and resource allocations. In addition to all of this, technicians can also have access to step-by-step repair resources available online or offline, aiding technicians to complete tasks more efficiently. And also technicians can record meeting readers, and this can feed into tracking asset performance. Similarly, within inventory management, technicians can check the availability of necessary parts within the inventory while working on a task. And then also quickly moving on to inspections, technicians can perform routine inspections, capturing readings, assessing conditions, and reporting anomalies. They can do this by using predefined checklists. And on those predefined checklists, technicians have the availability to take photos as well as document compliant and non-compliant issues. All of these use cases can be done as a technician has access to data stored on their devices, allowing them to work in remote locations as well as if connectivity is lost. These are just a few examples of how technicians can benefit from Maximo Mobile, but the possibilities does not stop here. All of these scenarios that we just mentioned can all be done while navigating easily within a single intuitive mobile platform. Now I'd like to hand you back over to Bridget to kick off our demo session.
All right, thank you again, Anissa. Now I'm going to share my phone screen with you all, and then we will go through creating a service request. So here we see the schedule. And the first thing that we're going to do once we have the schedule open is click on this plus button down in the bottom of the screen and create a service request. From there, we're prompted to choose a category. So we're going to say request for information. And you'll see this category has subcategories. They don't all, but some do. We're going to say policy and procedures. Then you move on to the record screen itself, where you can fill in information. We have details, you can change the name, associate a location or an asset, add attachments. We'll say mobile webinar example in our description. See, it comes up there. And when we're finished adding whatever we'd like, we can search through assets as well. Go to the big blue button in the right corner of the screen, as Anissa said, and submit your request. And then it's already taken us to the service request application, but if it didn't, we would come back to the navigator and click on it here and go to our queries. And there are active requests, completed requests, and service requests created on this device. We'll go there. There it is, active requests. And we can come in and look at the service request we've created, see the details, add comments to the work log, add attachments, and that's all there is to it. Very simple. Now I will give you back to Anissa to go over creating a work order.
Okay, thank you, Bridget. I'm just going to bring my screen up. Okay, so similar to what Bridget did, we're going to go this blue screen that you're seeing displayed. This is commonly referred to as the navigator screen. So we're going to be selecting that plus icon, very similar to what Bridget did. And we have a couple of options here. We're interested in the create work order option, so I'm going to select that. And then the create work order screen is displayed for the technician, and you will have several data points that you can enter information in to create the work order. So I'm just scrolling down on the screen so you can have an overview on, just the handful of fields that's required to create a work order from a mobile device. So I'm going to get started. I'm going to enter a description. So Maximo Mobile Web work order. This is your short description. You also have the ability to enter a long description if needed. You'll do that by selecting that directional arrow, and you can enter whatever text you need to enter here. And once you're done with that, it saves and populates. If you're utilizing priorities, you can go ahead and populate that information. If you need to set schedule start and finish date, you can. If you have an idea of the estimated duration, you can also populate those information in those fields. I'm interested in updating my work type, so I'm gonna pick my work type, and I have the ability to create this work order against an asset or location. So I'm gonna do an asset in this case. So I'm gonna do a quick search and just pick an asset from my list. Do a once over, I'm okay with it. At the top of the screen, there is a check mark, and this is very similar to that big blue button that we mentioned before. This is going to save my work order. So I'm gonna click on that check mark, and my work order is saved at this point. That's what you need to do to create a work order from the mobile device. We're going to go back to the navigator and head over to the My Schedule or Technician app, as it's commonly referred to sometimes. So I'm going to go in here. When I get in here, I'm seeing that I have a couple of options that I can select from. Assign work, essentially, this is where the technician will see all of their work orders that has been assigned within Manage, and if there is a labor record associated for the user that's logged in, or you're utilizing Assignment Manager, you will see a list of all the work that's assigned to you. Next one is PMs due this week. Similarly with the previous one, this is going to show you all the PMs assigned to you for this week. You can go there to see all the PMs, but we're interested in the work created on this device. So I'm going to select that query, and I do have a bunch of them. I'm going to scroll down to the one that I just created. So I'm seeing my short description. At a high level, it's given me the work type. I'm also seeing that now I can see the work order number, which is 1333. I'm seeing the status as waiting on approval, and I'm seeing my asset information, as well as I can add work log entries. But let's expand this view out a bit. So I'm going to select my expand button. So on this screen, you're going to be able to edit the work order, and you're noticing now that we have a couple more icons displayed on the screen. So let's start to walk through these icons from top down, some of these icons. For instance, if I need to edit my work order, I made a mistake, I made a typo, I need to edit, I can select my pen icon, which is my edit icon, I'm going to select that, and it essentially takes me back to a screen very similar to what we did for the create work order option. So I can come in here and I can edit the information that was previously entered. Once I'm done with that, to save my changes, I'm going to select the check mark. I don't have any changes to save at this point in time, so I'm going to go back out to the main work order panel. Moving down to the details section, there are a couple of icons here I want to point out. So let's start with this first one here. And this is like materials and tools. So if you have like materials and tools assigned to your work order, and this really comes into play for that query on the previous screen that says assign work. If you have materials and tools assigned, you're going to see your full list over there. The next one is work log. So I can come and I can enter a work log note very easily, and it creates my work log, and I have the option to create as many as needed. Once I'm done adding my work log, I can simply close out of this screen. The next icon that we're seeing there with that kind of arrow and plus sign, that's like if you want to enable device location. And let's jump into the paperclip, the paperboard icon. So here's where I can come and I can report a couple of things on my work order. So if I want to do failure reporting, I can come in here and I can use my edit icon and I can do my failure reporting. I can also do labor reporting. I can do materials used that I need to report, as well as tools. And here again, we're seeing that big blue button. So you're going to notice a couple times like navigating through Maximo. Sometimes in a circle, sometimes it looks like it's in a square shape, but it's always highlighted in blue when it's like a critical task to be performed. Going back out to my work panel, moving down on the work order, we have the asset and location section. And here it gives me a high overview. I'm seeing my asset, I'm seeing my description. If I had an image associated with this attachment, it would be displayed as well. So starting on the outer end of the icon line is this directional arrow. I can come in here and I can set the status of my asset. So say for instance, my asset is down and I want to pick a downtime code. I can go ahead and I can do that. When I come back out to the work order panel, it's going to show me that my asset is down. So I can control that very easily from my mobile device. And also I'm just going to bring up the icon in the middle. So this is also showing me my asset and location history. So it's showing me my work order, the type of work that was done, and I'm seeing details related to this location displayed here. Moving down on the screen, I also have the availability of working with attachments. So let's go into there. I'm going to expand out my attachments option. It's very simple to add attachments on your mobile device. So you're going to select your plus icon, and just as similar as you do within any mobile applications, I'm going to select an image that I have on my phone. I'm going to give it a quick name. If I want to give it a description, I can, and I'm going to select upload. So it's very quickly going to show me, okay, I have an attachment on this work order, and it's also going to put a counter on the screen. Then moving on to the other option, which is follow-up work order. So we're going to move into that screen. Say for instance, I'm working in an area and I need to create a follow-up work order. I can do that. I'm going to select my plus icon. It's going to hold some of the previous information that's on the main work order, but I do have the option here to come in and edit those fields that is normally presented. When I'm done with that, I'm going to save my changes, and it's going to tell me, okay, great, you have a follow-up work order created. And then when I'm back out onto my main work order panel, I have a very high level view. Okay, I have attachments on this work order, I have follow-up work order, and I can also come at this point and I can change the status of my work order if I need to. So that brings us to the end of the work order creation and working with some of the functionalities with work orders, and Bridget has covered SRs. So these are only two of the scenarios out of many that technicians can leverage from within the Maximo Mobile application. These are the two that we're covering for the demo session. I would now like to hand over to Kat.
Great. Thank you so much, Anissa. And we are getting some questions coming in. First one is, if you are not yet on MAS, is the mobile already part of the Maximo licensing platform, or is it separate?
That's a good question. You're gonna have to do like a separate install. You do have access to it, but it's not like MAS where everything comes packaged.
It sort of functions like other add-ons, like utilities.
Yes. Are there existing use cases for using mobile for larger construction jobs? We have one. We can certainly go ahead and find one and send that out.
Yes, we can. Yeah, we do have a wealth of like use cases. We can definitely locate some of those specifically geared to like specific industries, and we can get that back out.
And I would imagine that it would be very helpful. The ability to do labor timers and keep track of multiple locations and use the map would be good for keeping track of multiple sites for a large construction job. Or I would imagine you have multiple buildings that are being worked on at the same time.
Thank you. Alex, I'm sure we have those in there and we can get those mailed out. The next question I have is, I would like to see what the labor reporting and materials reporting pages look like. Are you able to open those?
Anissa, do you want me to give you back mobile presenter view so you can pull that up?
Can you? Yeah, sure. Can you tell me those screens again?
The labor reporting and materials reporting.
Yes.
Yeah, so we can pull it up, but I also don't have like a labor record created for me. So when I go into like report work, I'm not actually, so typically what you see alongside the labor, there is a plus icon and you can select like the labor and the craft information. You can put in the hours worked, and it's going to be like similar fields for materials and labor and tools. Yeah, I don't have like a labor setup on this, so it's not going to give me the plus icon, unfortunately, to show that. But I'm happy to take a screenshot and do a little write-up to say, okay, yeah, this is exactly how the labor and the material screen looks.
Next question I have, if we create a customized service request application for a specific business unit, for example, adding a new field and made some fields mandatory, can this be accessed in Maximo Mobile, assuming they have the security permissions?
That's a great question.
Oh. Yeah, so I can jump in here. Maximo Mobile on the other side, so what we're seeing here is, you know, what a typical end user is going to see. But on the back end of that is the Maximo application framework. And here's where developers can go in, and IBM has made it relatively easy to go in and duplicate an application. So if that's your scenario, you can duplicate your SR mobile application, tailor it and customize it with those customizations that you just mentioned, and then you're going to grant access from within security groups to that particular application that you created to the group of users that you need to see and have access to.
Right. Can work orders in Maximo Mobile be changed to status complete or waiting complete?
Yes, they can. If you click on the status of a work order, or really most records, it'll give you a drop-down menu of the status options.
Are you able to show how a scheduled work order may look like? How to add it into the scheduler so that it becomes in each schedule period?
I think that would require an environment that had scheduler deployed.
Yes, okay. So that's definitely something we can factor into the response of that question, Kat, when we get back out the answers to the questions.
Everybody loves your demos. We're getting lots of requests for that kind of thing. Can you demo how a list of materials is handled in mobile? Installs, removals, abandonments, that sort of thing.
This is specifically utilizing the inventory applications, I'm assuming. We're going to have additional and other mobile webinars coming up, so it's definitely functionality that we can demo. If whoever is asking that question can like reach out to us directly, Kat, and we're more than happy to have like a one-on-one session, you know, specifically going over the inventory applications.
Can you migrate inspection forms from one environment to another using MX Loader?
This is a loaded question because it's twofold. I'm gonna say yes. So like if you're within, say for instance, you're like within 7.6, both Bridget and I have actually worked on a project where we have utilized Maximo Mobile MX Loader to migrate inspection forms from one environment to another environment. So that's also something we're happy to have a discussion about, and if whoever's asking that question wants to reach out directly.
See, I've got a follow-up question to earlier one. Back to the customized service request application for a specific business unit. Can they access it in Maximo Mobile? They can access it in Maximo Desktop.
So like Anissa was saying, yes, as long as that custom application is created in Maximo Application Framework. That's where all of the XML files that make up the Maximo Mobile application live. And if you go in there and duplicate the SR and then set up that mobile app to sort of mirror your desktop app, then yes, you would be able to get them to access it on mobile.
Have you run into use cases for single sign-on? Is it a difficult process?
So yes, we have actually. It's not a difficult process. It's actually something that's supported by Maximo Mobile, so it's not difficult. The end user, obviously, there's going to be some sort of setup within Maximo Mobile and Manage or in your 7.6 environment, but it's definitely something that the end user is not going to feel challenged into signing into the mobile device. It's quite smooth for the end user experience.
Different type of question here. How have you handled if your users want a production Maximo Mobile and train Maximo Mobile?
So that's a good question. Let me pause for a minute. If you're in a mass environment, Maximo Mobile comes as part of that manage install. So when you get into manage, your users can access the role-based applications from whatever environment it's that they're logging into. For instance, test, they can access the role-based applications, as well as they also have the ability from the mobile devices to enter the URL for the dev environment or test environment, whatever environment, and log into that environment and be able to use Maximo Mobile just as you would a production environment. So you have, when you're getting into Maximo Mobile, you do have to do some setup to say, okay, this is the URL I want to log into, and this is my credential. But it's whether you're manually creating it or you're like forcing that to be an option where they don't see, there is options for you to use your production or your non-production environments with Maximo Mobile.
If you wanted to do prod and train mobile in 7.6, you would just have to make sure that it's deployed to both instances.
Correct. Thank you for that.
Can we see what forms looks like in mobile? I'm thinking we don't have that demo at the moment.
Yeah, we don't have that prepped for this demo session.
Okay.
But
getting
it's
a lot of
definitely
requests.
Something.
Reschedule.
Yeah, it's definitely something that we can definitely speak to and demo. So if whoever's asking that question would like to reach out to us, we're happy to demo that functionality.
Do you know how this compares to Easy Max Mobile? And do you have any clear benefits from one to the other?
that's a question that I would like to take away to get a holistic response. So if we can respond to that in the Q&A responses that you will be sending out.
Is there a security level set in Maximo Mobile for users?
I can take that one. Security for Maximo is set on a user-specific level in base Maximo. So there isn't, in order to use Maximo Mobile, the user would have to have at least read access to all of the applications and the object structures required to do things in mobile, but there isn't like a specific security level that is set when you are a Maximo Mobile user. That's linked back to base Maximo.
And jumping back to the prod versus test instances, they're assuming that those are just going to switch back and forth through different URLs.
No, the only way to use separate applications would be if you had one in mass and one in 7.6, because those are different apps. Otherwise, you'd have to switch the URLs to use different environments.
Correct.
Let's see. We use Anywhere currently for the mobile app. Some of our PM content is from classification. Can we still use specifications for PM inspection content in mobile?
So yeah, classifications is supported within mobile. IBM has also put all focus into developing out Maximo Mobile. So I can give a full response to that question in the answers, Kat, but yes, we do have the capabilities to utilize classifications within Maximo Mobile.
Okay. And I do have a duplicate question. I'm pretty sure we've already answered this. It says, can there be a separate app from Maximo Mobile environments, one for prod and one for train? And again, they would actually be separate instances, not just single apps.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, just going back to what Bridget mentioned, we just have the two apps, one specifically for 7.6 and one for mass environments.
That looks like all the questions we have. If anybody has any other questions, please pop them in. We'll give you a second or two. Do you folks have any wrap-ups there, Bridget or Anissa? Anything else you wanted to share that may have been triggered by the questions?
No, I'm good. I just want to thank everyone for giving Bridget and I the opportunity to do some demo and have some conversation on Maximo Mobile, first of many, but thank you for joining us today.
And thank you for the questions.
Well, thank you for attending, everyone. We will be sending out a link to the recording of this session and a copy of the slide deck within 24 hours. The questions will take a little bit longer because we do want to make sure that we get all of the information requested. So those will probably be sent out next week. This does conclude today's webinar. On behalf of Bridget, Anissa, and everybody at Cohesive, I want to thank everyone who attended today. And we look forward to seeing you at our next Back to Basics webinar, which is Introduction to the Cost Management Application, which is the 20th of June. We will put a link to that in our email as well. Thanks again for joining us, and we will see you next month.